This is Jocko Podcast number 81 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
November 29th, 1915. It has teemed. The trenches are ankle deep, some places calf deep in mud, and the communications trenches are rushing streams of brown water. The men are wet through, but stick the job like Britons, and I hope for their sake that the weather lifts with the morning. The guns have been strafing today, though up till now we have dodged the show. It may be ours again tomorrow, though. One never knows. This is from the diary of Captain Charlie May, the British Army officer, commander of B Company, 22nd Manchester Pals Battalion of the Manchester Regiment, who served in World War I. He was married to Bessie May, and they had one daughter who was born July 20th, 1914. So she was a little over a year old when this journal was being written from the trenches. And it continues. December 1st, 1915. It is exciting work, sniping. In fact, one must curb the tendency lest it should become a fascination. The second in command of the E-Lance, the East Lanchester Regiment, and myself put in a couple hours this morning and had quite a bit of fun worrying the Boches in their trenches. One fellow was walking across the open 2,000 yards off when I spotted him and let go. You never saw a chap move quicker in your life. He ran for a tree and jumped behind it, and I let him have 4 more there. Whether I got him or not, I don't know, but he didn't move for the next half hour. I know because I waited so anxiously for him. Last night, or rather 1:30 this morning, I got outside the barbed wire and got lost. 3 times I had to fling myself down in the wet grass, bury my nose in it, and grovel while the machine guns went chattering over me. It is remarkable with what speed one learns to adopt the prone position. January 13th, 1916. I long and long to see you, to clasp you in my arms, and I long with all my heart to see my baby. How I love her. What hopes I have for her. What a sweet girl she will make. February 25th, 1916. Woke up this morning to find the snow pelting down and covering the ground fully 5 inches deep. Also, it was freezing hard. Cotton, a fellow officer, came in to breakfast with us. He brought the little Bible which another soldier had taken from the body of a dead German. On the flyleaf, in a child's handwriting, the word Dada. War is very sad. Perhaps the man may have done and been something to loathe and detest. I do not know. All I am conscious of is that somewhere in his fatherland there is a little child who called him Dada. April 6th, 1916, Fritz strafed our new trenches with heavies and searched round the support with HE, shrapnel, and other such obnoxious stuff. One shell claimed 3 NCOs and wounded 3 men. We all feel wild to get at the beast, and I hope we may string him up on the wire. I saw the killed go down the line. It was a pitiful sight. Poor boys, shell fire is a horrid thing. Gresty, a lad who was a sergeant of mine, was the worst, his body full of gaping holes. It was very, very sad. Do those at home realize how their boys go out for them? Never can they do enough for their soldiers. Never can they repay the debt they owe. Not that the men ask any reward. But one day, we'll get at him with the bayonet. We'll take our price then for Gretzi and all the other hundreds, thousands Gretzis slain as they were standing at their posts. June 17th, 1916. I do not want to die. The thought that I may never see you or our darling baby again turns my bowels to water. My conscience is clear that I have always tried to make life a joy for you. But it is the thought that our babe may grow up without my knowing her and without her knowing me. I pray God I may do my duty, for I know whatever that may entail, you would not have it otherwise. June 23rd, 1916. Everything is speeding up to no end. Ammunition by the 100 wagon load is pouring up. It should certainly not be for lack of ammunition if we do not make a huge success of the venture. Yet one cannot help feeling a little anxious and worried. So much depends on this great throw. And what he's talking about there in this part of the journal, it reflects the buildup for the Battle of the Somme. And although Charlie doesn't know exactly when the battle is going to commence, they're obviously only distributing that information with people that have the need to know. They know that a major attack is forthcoming. And that's why they've got all that ammunition piled up, more than they could ever think they could possibly need. Back to the journal, June 28th, 1916. The moment seems very auspicious for us to strike. Perhaps we will on Friday. July 1st, 1916. We marched up to the assembly trench last night. The most exciting march imaginable. Guns all around crashed and roared till sometimes it was quite impossible to hear oneself speak. It was, however, a fine sight, and one realized from it what gunpowder really means. Fritz, of course, strafed back in reply, causing us some uneasiness and a few casualties before we even reached the line. The night passed noisily and with a few more casualties. The Hun puts a barrage on us every now and then and generally claims 1 or 2 victims. It is a glorious morning. We go over in 2 hours' time. It seems a long time to wait, and I think whatever happens, we shall all feel relieved once the line is launched. No man's land is a tangled desert. Unless one could see it, one cannot imagine what a terrible state of disorder it is in. But we do not yet seem to have stopped the machine guns. These are popping off all along our parapet as I write. I trust they will not claim too many of our lads before the day is over. Now I close this old diary down for the next few days since I may not take it into the line. I will keep a record of how things go and enter it up later. Well, that update never took place. And Charlie May was wrong about how many British soldiers would be claimed before the day was over. He didn't think it would claim too many, but as you know, the first day of the Battle of the Somme, July 1st, turned out to be the worst day in history for the British Army. And they suffered almost 60,000 casualties. 60,000 casualties in one day. And like I said, those casualties included Charlie May, who went over the top on July 1st under the cover of Allied artillery. He was leading B Company, and he and his men fought their way across no man's land, and just as they reached German lines, Charlie was hit by shell fire and killed. And his diary was found by the man that eventually dragged him back to the trenches, Private Arthur Bunting, who mailed the diary to Charlie's wife, Maud. Now,